Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Pretty Sneaky Stuff Conspiracies for Dummies. I am one of your hosts, Chris, and with me I have my two awesome friends. I have Jefferson Smith.
Hey, how's it going?
And welcoming for the first time here our third and hopefully permanent co-host, the lovely Britta.
Hi.
Oh, how charming, how charming. So today, what was our last episode we talked about?
Last episode was MK Ultra.
MK Ultra. Okay, and we highly recommend people who haven't seen the show before to check out the first episode. It was a lot of fun. There may or may not have been a few kinks in there, but hopefully we definitely worked that all out.
For people that don't know, MK Ultra is basically just the government or people inside the government trying to figure out and research how to control people's minds by brainwashing them.
Oh, and they actually admitted to all that, which is even more terrifying.
Well, they admitted that of the research, yeah.
But today, but that was for 2 weeks ago. Today, we're going to talk about different figures and beings. So I believe we call this Unknown Figures 101 or Unknown Beings 101.
Okay.
And when we say a being, that's everything from extraterrestrials. Could be something more spiritual. Could be something more multi-dimensional, I guess.
So this episode will touch on the beings that might be amongst us right now. People that you might not be able to tell, are they human or are they, a different type of being or a different entity?
And that's terrifying. That's absolutely fucking terrifying. So where should we start? Where should we start, you guys? I think.
Well, let's start with the basics. The
Start
first
with
thing.
the most popular option.
Yeah. What comes to people's minds first? I would say aliens, right?
Aliens, yeah. And when I hear of aliens, I immediately think of not the little green men, but the alien race that's supposedly exists, called the Greys. Now the Greys are sort of. Actually, I believe we actually have some pictures of what they may or may not look like. Of course, they are supposed to exist, but we have right here. Obviously, this is not a real picture. This is a rendering of our gray alien right here. So we see that we have this skin that's almost like a rubbery type. And these big black eyes that sort of stare into your soul. And
yeah, so we figured, let's start with the kind of alien that everyone thinks of when you talk about aliens. So basically little green men who, and just the basic idea that, hey, maybe they're coming to, take our natural resources and kill us all and use us as slaves, something like that.
How optimistic that? How optimistic? Well, when we say grays, the definition of a gray, we have some grayed skin humanoids, usually about 3 to 4 feet. They're tall, they're bald. The black almond-shaped eyes, like we just saw. Nostrils without a nose, and maybe like a slit for a mouth. No ears, and 3 to 4 fingers, including the opposable thumb. Now, 43 of all alien encounters in the United States are grays.
Okay.
That's a lot, I would say. But in Canada, 90%. Now, I don't know how many How many
people in Canada even see aliens? That 90% of them are grays.
That's my thing. Like all the UFO abductions and stuff like that. That's all United States stuff, right? I mean, I've heard of some stuff, some in the UK, but
there's stories all over the world. South America.
Maybe it's just that in UK there's or not the UK, in Canada.
Okay.
There's less people overall, so there's less populated areas, and it's easier to see.
All right, yeah,
because there's that whole thing about light pollution.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, okay, very true, very true. Alrighty. But yeah, so 90% in Canada, only 12% in Europe. So only 12% of Europeans see the grays. God knows
what the rest of them are seeing.
Yeah, there's only the grays, the little green men going around, and then some other beings as well. But yeah, only 12%. But so it's funny, the concept of gray started in 1893 when H.G. Wells, do you guys know H.G. Wells?
Of course.
Do you know him personally?
Uh-huh.
You do?
Yep.
You do.
Oh, wow.
He was my grandmother's mistress.
Mistress, yeah.
Mistress.
I heard he had great legs. He envisioned humanity sort of turning into these gray beings in the article Man of the Year Million. And then ever since that, in 1893, reports started, especially in 1965, when Betty and Barney Hill were abducted, and that sort of brought national attention. But it's weird, it's terrifying, because all of the Gray's abductions sort of center around this weird experimentation. They're extremely traumatic. There's been sexual assault reported, physical torture. Dear God, that's absolutely terrifying.
Oh, yeah.
So does that mean all the stuff like when you play The Sims and they have the like alien abductions and you come back and it's like the man is pregnant? Does that mean that that's like actually like based
happen?
on and like all the Sims games, if a guy gets abducted, like there's a chance he could come back and be pregnant with an alien baby.
That's terrifying. Why would you play that game? Is that rated E for everyone?
No, it's rated T.
Oh, I was gonna say. Yeah.
Well, yeah, it is.
Yeah, but so that must be then like actually kind of based in people's experiences with alien abductions rather than just like video game creators being like, let's try this out.
Yeah, it is. It is kind of relevant to some theories because a lot of people think that maybe humans might have been, our DNA might be different parts of alien DNA, but we'll get into that in a little bit. So basically for this episode, we want to talk about all types of beings. So we're going to start with aliens, but we'll get into, shadow people and ghosts and demons and stuff like that. But
the ghost and demon side of the beings really interests me because
it freaks me out.
Yeah, it does. Are you religious, Britta?
I'm spiritual. I do go to church. I wouldn't say I'm like religious because I think that word has bad connotations.
Yeah, I guess that's
yeah. Most people.
That's a different podcast.
Most people prefer to say spiritual now. So.
Did I just offend both of you?
No.
Well, for me, I was raised in a Christian church, and I believe in a lot. I kind of want to believe it, but I'm not sure. So
yeah, I think it's good to have that whole belief that that we're all going to be saved and stuff like that.
Well, I think that everyone believes that there was something.
Some of us won't be saved.
Anyway, I think we're getting off track.
I will, and I definitely will not be saved. But I'm super excited, and I think Jefferson's going to take the lead on when we do get into the spiritual realm, because I have no experience. I am not spiritual or religious at all. But, my friends, I do believe in the Men in Black. Now, the Men in Black, we're not talking about the movies. We're not talking about Will Smith and the other guy.
Tommy Lee Jones.
I'm
great actor.
We're not talking about that. What we're actually going to be talking about is sort of this. The Men in Black are these figures that will show up after an unexplained event. It could be a UFO sighting. UFO sighting is the most common, and then either sort of interrogate, threaten, sort of just really try to verbally abuse and with threats of physical abuse the witnesses to sort of recant their stories and to stop investigating altogether. And it's wild because there are some depictions of them right here, and this let me pull up the visual cam right here. Look at these guys. Right,
they don't even look human.
I don't like that. They look like mannequins.
Now, please keep in mind this is a depiction of what they would look like.
Oh, this is just a depiction.
Yes,
this isn't actually.
All four of them did not just stand around.
They still look creepy though.
They do.
None of them have hair.
Yeah, and that's sort of one of the overarching themes to what we're talking about, is that the Men in Black are reported to all be the same height, have what am I talking about here? This rubbery smooth skin, sort of like what we saw in the Greys, or what we're hearing about in the Greys. And they all wear the exact same outfits. Let's see what else pictures I got right here. Oh my gosh! So, sort of the Men in Black sort of really come into picture here in two separate occasions. In one occasion, we have the infamous Solway Firth Spaceman event. So thank you for asking. I will definitely tell you. So in 1964, at a place called Burgh Marsh in Cumbria, England, a gentleman named Jim Templeton took a picture of his little girl, his baby girl, his pride and joy, just chilling on the grass right here. And behind them they saw this picture right here. Now, this picture looks fake, but I promise you, my friends, that it was analyzed by Kodak analysts, and it's proved to be 100% genuine. There's a spaceman right above her head who was not seen at the time of taking that picture.
If you just look at how her hair looks, that would have been a very difficult thing to Photoshop.
Yeah, and I know Jefferson has extensive experience in Photoshop. I'm terrible. I can't even draw a square. But yeah, so there was this sort of spaceman just seen behind her. So this guy obviously went nuts with this photo. I mean, he was super excited to have this photo. And he was immediately threatened. These two gentlemen approached him. They identified themselves as MIB Code 9 and Code 10. They presented badges, but the badges had no information about what government organization they were from. They just identified themselves as 9 and 10. They were very slender in nature, the exact same height, and they repeatedly kept asking to gain entrance into his home, and he felt uncomfortable. And then they eventually convinced him to go to where the picture was taken. And he took him to the site, and they asked him about the atmospheric conditions. They asked him how the animals were behaving that day, and they asked him, were there any other witnesses? And when this man said no, there was no other witnesses, and the animals were acting really strange, and he didn't really see anything else, they got super agitated and sort of threw him out of the car and drove away and disappeared, and he had to walk all the way back home, which just straight up fucking sucks, first of all. But yeah, so that's one of the most important incidents that we have with the Men in Black, the second one. And I found some crazy audio that I hope transitions well into this podcast. This audio is insane. So what happened here is a hotel manager in a Sheraton hotel in 2009 on the banks of the Niagara Falls in New York saw two separate incidents of a UFO. And 7 months later, two Men in Black came to the hotel looking for him. And there is both video and audio of this. Now, the audio of this is an interview with him after the event, but there is video of them walking into the hotel. And we have, let's see, we got some footage here of him walking here. And I pull up the old visual cam right here.
I hate that preset font there that they do.
Yeah.
I see that everywhere.
Yeah. So we have two gentlemen that are going to walk in. If we take a look at this left door right here, let's speed up. So these two gentlemen are walking away. These two gentlemen right. Where are they going? Are they going to walk in? These two guys right there. So these two gentlemen walked in, and apparently, by eyewitness accounts, were very, very agitated. They wanted to find out where this hotel manager was. What did he see? Did he tell anybody about it? And really just the intricacies of his story. And then they just, they were never recorded leaving, so they did not walk out of the building backwards. They did not moonwalk away from the facility. But yeah, so we have this right here, and then the audio of this, which was terrifying. This is a recording of the gentleman. I believe his name is Bernhardt. I want to say Joshua Bernhardt, but that may or may not be true. He was being interviewed about his experience right here. So let me go ahead and play this for us.
There's a couple really strange-looking men that were here. They were asking questions about you. They were really, really tall. They were identical height. They were the exact same height. They were wearing the exact same clothes, and they had the exact same faces, like they were twins. Black suits, black trench coats.
And this is him describing, like a hotel employee was telling him these people came in and is describing these two people. But just listen to their descriptions.
Had extremely, extremely pale skin. They asked a few questions about you, and they said strange things that I didn't understand. And they were talking about governments and conspiracies. She goes, they were very, very scary. They had no facial hair. None. She said they had no eyebrows, no eyelashes, nothing. Their hair looked like they had a wig on, like it was attached to their hat, like it wasn't even real. And the scariest thing, their eyes were so big and so blue that they almost hypnotized me a little bit. But I swear they knew what I was thinking. I swear. And I don't think I'm crazy, but I don't even know how they could do it. She goes, so I started to think about things other than you, and I don't even know if it worked. And she started to cry, and she said one more thing before she left.
Here it comes.
These men, they didn't blink.
At all.
Not once did I see them blink.
Wow. And they did not blink. So, and that, I just like the way that he told that story, like the emotion behind it, and the reports of the employee crying, like totally mentally sort of abused about, they were like in her mind. I just thought that audio was insane.
That's terrifying.
Yeah. What do you guys think about that? Yeah.
Well, it kind of makes sense, like how you said earlier, that nobody saw them leave. They perhaps have certain powers or certain devices to kind of wipe someone's memory. So it makes sense from a lot of the other stories. I've heard a story of a neighbor seeing a couple, men in suits go and visit, their neighbor.
Yeah.
And afterwards, the neighbor had no recollection of anyone visiting the house.
See, that's insane to me.
Mm-hmm.
That's just the fact that they're the exact same height, have this rubbery skin, like they spoke. The common theme here is they speak in this almost like robotic voice, right? Where and just no facial expressions, and they get agitated very quickly if you do not answer the answers that they want to hear. So a lot of people think that it's either true. It is sort of like a government agency looking to keep up the cover-ups, or they're extraterrestrials and they're sort of trying to just they're like the task force sent out by the aliens to sort of quell.
Well, that's what I'm curious about. So is the idea that the Men in Black are coming for the alien? Like, are they looking for the aliens to stop them, or are they like on the alien side trying to keep them hidden?
Well, you could, we might get too far into it, but
that was kind of the idea in the movies, right? Was that they were like against the aliens, and it was like they were trying to stop them.
Well, I think if we're gonna go into the Men in Black movie a little bit.
That's most people's experiences with them, but with this, it almost sounds like it's the opposite, where like they're trying to help the aliens stay hidden.
I think, first of all, in the movie The Men in Black, which we cannot base on fact.
We cannot base it on fact.
I'm sure Will Smith would be a great tactical agent,
but we can base it on what the government might be trying to tell us, or prepare us for.
Yeah, I think if there's a motive, I don't think they're trying to find the aliens. I think they are, I don't know, like in my head, one of the theories that first of all, shout out to Line 177D, who's I believe tuning in from New Zealand.
Cool.
Yeah, all right. I believe they called New Zealanders Kiwis. Yeah, the bird that don't fly.
Yummy fruit.
My favorite.
I've never had a kiwi. You've never had a kiwi? No, bird, nor fruit, nor individual from New Zealand.
Maybe you're an alien.
Son of a bitch. Mm-hmm. No, I got way too many blackheads on my nose to be an alien.
So if we, this is a podcast. I mean, this is a conspiracy podcast. So if we were going to kind of tie this into the conspiracy world, you could think that, like, if you believe in one race of aliens, like, you probably, why not believe in many races? I mean, the universe is so gigantic.
Yeah.
So these Men in Black that come to, like you said, interrogate and, threaten, torture, they could be one race of aliens that, maybe they're the benevolent ones that are
trying to find like these alien, like, I don't want to, this is gonna sound like alien outlaws, like, what there was a like Britta was trying to get the bad aliens to keep order, you know what I'm saying? So maybe trying to both help humanity and hide the aliens at the same time.
Well, that's one of I was talking about aliens actually the other day with somebody, and they were saying that there are like 3 major ideas with like why we haven't contacted aliens.
Okay, and what are those ideas?
I can't remember what the third one is, but the first 2, like the big 2, are Actually, I do remember the third one. I remember it now.
Hit us with it, Britta.
So the first one is that there aren't any. And that is
that's
why.
That's not a fun theory.
That's why they haven't. Yeah, that's why I didn't remember it, because I was like, oh, that's not important. The second one is that like there are aliens, but like we are the most advanced of the different species.
I heard that. Yeah.
And so there's no like we would have to go find them because they're not intelligent enough to find us.
Yeah. What a twist that would be if we're the fucking aliens.
Yeah.
And like, I mean, we already see that some tribes are still in the rainforest, still forbidden by law to go contact them because they're so technologically disadvantaged to what we have. So it's just that on a more grander scale,
Yeah. Well, when these tribes and villagers see a helicopter come and bring someone to their people, what else are you gonna think that this is pretty supernatural?
Yeah, and or even like there could be life on other planets, but that they're like microbes or something, that they're not even like on the scale of human beings, and it would be like millions of years before they ever like actually got to the point where we could contact them, but that we would keep continuing to evolve past them.
Like we're gonna turn into the Greys.
Like we just basically were here first, and we're just gonna keep going, and they're gonna keep going too, but it'll be behind us. And then the third one is that we are like just super idiots, basically. And which I think is really interesting. And the crazy thing about it is that there are a lot of like professional people and scientists and stuff who are like, nope, this is definitely the theory that like makes the most sense. Is that like the reason that there is other life on other planets, but they are purposely not putting out any information to try to find them.
That makes perfect sense because
there's something out there that's like a predatory species that's going to come and attack anybody it can find. And so like
we're sort of being protected.
Yeah, so they're like hiding basically.
But
humans are like, oh no, let's like just go throw screensavers up into the space and see what happens. Maybe somebody will contact us. And that a lot of scientists like, no, we definitely should not be doing this, because if there's like some sort of aggressive predatory species, they're gonna find us and they're gonna like evaporate all of us, basically.
Jefferson, this is really interesting because you're saying they're giving us disinformation or misinformation.
Well,
they're saying, oh, we haven't found anything, when maybe they have, but we're like, we can't fucking contact these things.
Well, I think as Britta was talking about earlier, that one theory about how maybe there aren't any aliens contacting us, I actually think that's kind of an interesting theory if you look at it from a conspiracy perspective.
Yeah.
Because when you talk about false flags and control and things like that, something that I've been hearing in conspiracy circles, popping up really fast. It's kind of odd how this is kind of, people are telling me about this. It's being mentioned more and more lately, is that, the reason for all of culture, all of pop culture kind of talking about aliens, the Roswell story, things like that. Things that are real news stories have been slowly being fed to us to kind of prepare us for some kind of event. A lot of people I'm talking to think it's going to be sooner rather than later, where they're going to, try to make it look like there's an alien invasion, and it could be just, technology that we have that they're going to use to make it seem that way.
That's a trip. That's a trip. I think we could spend all hour on aliens and the reason they're here and good false flags and holy shit. But
well, that's just the general alien idea. So let's talk more about more specific, like a more specific alien race. Because when we talk about Greys, I think that's kind of like an umbrella term for just kind of all the aliens that.
The picture was like pretty much like your generic alien.
Yeah, it was
like,
right.
It wasn't anything special.
Yeah.
So let's talk about a species of aliens that is pretty. It's a pretty popular theory, and that would be the reptilians.
The reptilians.
They're taking over the world.
All right, here we go. Ready? Let's get creepy for a second, shall we?
Ladies and gentlemen, we went down the rabbit hole, so you don't have to.
So you don't have to. All righty. So, first off, they are among us, blood-drinking, flesh-eating, shape-shifting extraterrestrial reptilian humanoids with only one objective in their cold-blooded little heads: to enslave the human race. They are our leaders, our corporate executives, our beloved Oscar-winning actors, and Grammy-winning singers, and they're responsible for the Holocaust, the Oklahoma City bombings, the 9/11 attacks, and much more. My friends, they are the Annunaki.
And not only could they be like well-known celebrities and things, but they could be your local magistrate judge. They could be your local chief of police. Who knows?
So
they could be your parents.
Yikes. I wouldn't clean your room, kids, if I were you.
Well, people listening to this
or
now,
I would, because what if they come and like eat you?
Like people listening to this now, if you have a father or a mother who's like really high up in politics, or something, just start thinking about them. Maybe ask them.
Have you ever seen them eat?
The what?
Have you ever seen them eat?
Right. Ask them.
Yeah, if your dad, is just hanging out and all of a sudden he just catches a fly, I would probably get kind of suspicious.
So what else you have here?
So first of all, this, even though that paragraph I just read sounded a little bit ridiculous, but 12 million Americans as of 2016 believe that there is some sort of super advanced reptilian race that is sort of pulling the puppet strings of all humanity.
That's way too many. I can't believe
What do you mean? What do you hold
12
on.
million people?
It is not our position here on this show to
cast aspersions.
I'm not casting dispersion. I'm just saying that's
those.
like a surprisingly large number of people to like all agree on this idea. Like I don't think that many people can agree on anything.
So, Britta, are you automatically throwing out the idea that the Anunnaki are real?
No, I'm not.
Without hearing any of the facts?
I'm not throwing it out. I'm just saying, like, I'm surprised at how many people are like, yes, this is fact.
Well, hopefully you don't get 12 million people at your doorstep throwing eggs at your house.
Hopefully.
Conspiracies are pretty popular these days. I mean, not to go off topic too much, but the JFK thing was just in the news because of the big data dump. Over half of Americans think that, some people in our government had something going on with that.
Yeah, and we're definitely going to do an episode on that.
Mm-hmm.
We want to we were going to do it this time, but we wanted to get more into the weird side of things, and we definitely I personally, and I know Jefferson did as well. I don't know about Britta. We wanted to take time to dissect sort of what was released, and we really want to give you a fair scale of what we have found instead of just vomiting information at first. And
we want to see what our viewers and listeners think too. Let us know what topics do you want us to cover.
Yeah, because we are not experts. Holy shit, we are not experts. We spend hours researching on the internet, and then we bring it to you guys. But we ask you guys to do your own research. If we are wrong, I know some of the stuff that I'm going to tell you is probably going to be wrong. It's as true as I try to make it to be.
I've never been more confused in my life, and that's one thing you'll find in the conspiracy world. You'll find that there's just so much oversaturation. People might think that, or people say a lot, all of this stuff about the New World Order or Illuminati. Why do they let you guys talk about them? Why do they, why do they have a TV show? Why do they let Jesse Ventura go on national mainstream TV to talk about it? And it's, it's kind of the thing where if we just throw all kinds of crazy theories, you're not going to know what to believe.
Exactly.
So it's kind of similar to false flags.
Alrighty here. Well, Anunnaki, reptilians. I first heard about this, I think it was like 4 years ago when I was going to get like an associate's degree in video production before I totally bombed math. A girl in my class did a presentation in our communications class. I won't say her name. And it was about aliens. And she was like, the Anunnaki. And she started spouting off all this stuff about these lizard people and reptiles. And I was sitting in the back going, holy shit. Fucking girl's insane. Fast forward, I'm all about this stuff right now after doing all this research. Do I believe in them? No, I don't know. But I don't not think they're real, but we do have some crazy information here. So first of all, the Anunnaki actually comes from ancient Sumeria. The Sumerians, the Akkadians, the Assyrians, and of course the Babylonians. They sort of worshipped these beings. And they actually have, let me see here, ancient Sumerian tablet right here. And I just want to make sure, let me just check something real quick right here. Perfect. All righty. Cool. Just wanted to make sure it works. This is what they sort of depicted them to look at. And this is where the whole reptile thing sort of came from. We have these giant eyes. That one kind of looks like a dog. This one just looks like, I don't know what.
It looks like a parrot almost.
Yeah, bird.
Yeah, okay. I could see that. That one's got its mouth open. But anyway, not human is really what we're talking about
These
here. Not
all
human.
look like my nightmares, that's for
They,
sure.
yeah.
And they look like scales on their chests.
Yeah.
Oh, I
yeah.
thought they were wearing like drum major jackets.
Yeah, they were all part of the drum corps. Long necks that sort of have like folds. You know what I'm saying? Like it's not just a normal neck. It's like there's ridges in their necks. They're wearing these gowns, 2 feet. But anyway, that's sort of the Anunnaki, and we have another picture right here. They believe them to be these gods, and these gods that had these shape-shifting ability, where the most common form they took was these reptilian, or they are reptilians, but they would shape-shift into humanity, and sort of some theories say that they shared the world with us back in our ancient days, and then had to go into hiding as we gained more power and more consciousness, and we're not. We actually learned what things were, and so some people say that they sort of went into hiding and disguised themselves as humans. But what they are is they get this craziness. Let me see here. I'll get rid of that here, and we're back. So one thing I just want to say here. So everyone says like, oh, okay, ancient Sumerians, what did they know? What did they know? These guys, first of all, had the most, they had the largest city in the world at their time at 2800 BC. The population between 40,000 to 80,000 people living in this metropolis. So I feel like they weren't total idiots. They sort of knew what kind of was going on here.
Absolutely.
The Sumerians also are responsible for our current forms of measurement, 60 seconds in a minute, as well as measurements that led towards the foot, inches in a foot, not the appendage. So they sort of...
They invented feet.
As shown by the tablet, they invented 2 feet.
We didn't walk before them.
Yeah, we were reptiles. But no, and then...
reptiles have feet.
They have 4 of them. Well, it depends. If you're a Komodo dragon, you have 4. If you're a walking salamander, I guess you have 2. But... So all of the Sumerian knowledge was lost until the 19th century, when 500,000 tablets, statues, and sculptures were sort of uncovered, and we're still deciphering the majority of them. So we're still...
If anything, I think the ancient peoples were probably more knowledgeable than us.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I can't farm. I can't do anything. I was trying to crack pepper in the kitchen earlier. And it was just, one
He
go.
ended up having to use a hammer.
I was using a hammer. It was just really embarrassing. But anywho here, so the Anunnaki sort of came into public light. A gentleman named David Icke. Now, David Icke, or Icke?
David Icke, yeah.
Icke?
If you're into conspiracies at all, you probably heard his name before.
All right. Well, hey, take it away.
Well, he's been talking about the reptilians, the Anunnaki since like the 80s. I think he has so many books about it. What's interesting nowadays is that he has kind of moved away from the reptilian thing, the idea that these are beings from other planets, and he's kind of morphed his kind of teachings into the idea that aliens could be interdimensional beings, as we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's this idea that if aliens exist, we would know about them, but that's really just with our current knowledge of the known world. So a lot of people think that aliens could, be interdimensional beings. There could we humans only know 3 dimensions. So with a lot of what is being taught, what a lot of that is being researched now at CERN, in Europe, the hydroparticle accelerator or whatever, we are, scientists are learning that maybe there are different dimensions.
I'm so glad you brought up the 3-dimension thing, because Icke, okay, Icke, Mike and Ike's, Icke over here, he talks about how that these guys are actually part of the, first of all, the universe is sort of this multiverse theory. So any fans of Rick and Morty definitely know what we're talking about when we say multiverse. And they come from actually the 4th dimension of a constellation known as, I think it's called the Draco constellation, something like that. Oh yes, I'm sorry, the constellation Draco. So And a lot of people think that they are here because they want to harvest something called monatomic gold, which enhances their nervous system, which gives them the ability to travel into the dimensions and shape travel and shape shift, and also that they gain power from human suffering.
Yeah, that's kind of something like war and cruelty, things like that.
They sort of get that sort of power surge.
That's something I'd like to touch on because, there are a lot of people think that certain aliens and certain beings, they have to kind of exist in certain vibrations, and this gets into kind of crazy things about sacred geometry and pyramids and things.
Oh, you're really into recently. Jefferson has been so friggin' into geometry and pyramids.
But the idea is basically that when there's despair, when there's hatred, when there's war, when there's all kinds of, I guess, sin, you can call it, going on in the world, that you can tap into all this, and that this certain race of beings, they need the Earth to be operating on a certain wavelength or a certain vibration, and so. You talk about how they're shapeshifters and how they could look human.
Yeah.
Well, they hate the idea of the world coming together in love and peace, because that's when their shapeshifting abilities start to kind of glitch out, and that's how and that's how people say that they've captured video of them, looking pretty human-like, but then maybe their eye will look more like a lizard in its natural form, and that's because the vibrations of the world are getting more peaceful and loving and happy. So I think this is a whole nother topic for a podcast too. But
holy hell!
I think the idea of love is really a supernatural, powerful, real thing that will help us all.
Britta, what do you have to add to this? What do you
just like threw that on me?
when Jefferson here is talking about how when both of us are talking about this sort of super powerful alien race of reptile individuals that shapeshift into humans that we may worship or put on this pedestal, such as celebrities and people of power, what do you think about all of that?
I mean, I didn't end up doing a ton of research on the reptilian races.
She had no idea what we were going to talk about today. I told her it was going to be aliens.
Yeah, I was like, okay, I can talk about aliens. And then he was like, oh, no, we're going to talk about a bunch of other stuff. And I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, no, we haven't even tipped the iceberg what we want to talk about.
The big thing with like the reptile beings on Earth that I've heard about recently, especially goes with like Donald Trump. And the idea that
Donald Trump, I actually have exclusive footage, exclusive picture of Donald Trump in his natural.
He glitched out.
Yeah, he glitched out right there. You can see the eyes, the mouth right here. It's not Photoshop because it's a different color. But go on. So yes.
So, but the idea that like they thrive off of war and cruelty. When you look at like the things that have happened in the United States in the last 9 months, in conjunction with his like presidency, it would totally make sense
it's like
that he was affiliated or was one of these people, because everything he's been doing has been encouraging a lot of like strife amongst the people in the United States and like tension between the United States and other countries, and that would definitely like make it a much less peaceful place
exactly
than other alternative situations that could have happened.
I am just going to go ahead and say outright, I am not putting out my political beliefs on this show, but I'm just going to say there is an increasing amount of strife and sort of uneasiness in this.
I mean, I think regardless of your political position, you can kind of agree.
Things aren't good.
Things are a little bit tense no matter what side you're on.
Everything from recent reactions to hurricanes and the conspiracy surrounding that, which is going to be an awesome topic to talk about, Jefferson.
I'm excited about that.
Oh, that's going to be wild. NASA, what are you doing, NASA? To talking about something as simple as kneeling during the NFL. All of these protests.
Just fanning the flames.
Oh my God! It's just. Holy hell, it's very you just walk outside and it's like a hot summer day and you're like, no, I just want to go back inside and turn the TV off.
A lot of times too, you'll hear that these people, these reptilians, this race of aliens, they're not the president, maybe they're not the prime minister, but they're behind the scenes. They're the people that are kind of handling them. And sometimes they can take the forms of perhaps the spouse of one of these presidents. So, you know.
What are you insinuating, Jefferson?
Well,
what are you insinuating?
Recently,
Jefferson?
there's been this silly story of perhaps Melania Trump made an appearance, or someone who was posing as Melania Trump made an appearance at one of the president's. Well, I hasten to call him a president. I'll call him Mr. Trump.
Oh my God!
But just look at this picture right here. I mean,
so let's pull this up.
Melania is one of the most beautiful people in the world, but this picture, not so much. Why is she wearing those giant sunglasses? And if you look at, it doesn't. It actually wasn't that sunny out. And if you look at other pictures of her, known pictures of her, her mouth and nose just look totally different.
I believe I have a second picture. Okay, so we do have. First of all, I don't listen. I get it. You're the wife of the first. That's a lot of makeup. That's a lot of makeup,
which she doesn't usually need.
That's a lot of makeup. Look at the nose. The nose there's like a second ridge. Do you guys see that?
Mm-hmm. She doesn't look good.
There's like all right, you got one nostril, and then it's sort of like an indent, and then another one nostril, indent, and then another one. It looks like a fake nose.
Mm-hmm.
I've never seen a nose like that.
Wow! And first thing I do when I meet a girl, I check out her nose.
Go back to that.
Obviously.
What's going on, lady?
Go back to that other picture. Yeah,
alrighty, that was awkward. Okay, and we are. Mm-hmm. Can I zoom in here? All right.
Okay, that's a little bit too close of a zoom. I think you should have. Yeah, that's good.
Alrighty, take it away, Jefferson.
Well, no, I just wanted to say, the picture on the right and the left, the lips look totally different too.
Hold on here, as we look. Let's look towards a known picture of her.
Okay, but like.
Maybe she does have
her nose is a little bit funky.
She kind of has like an Owen Wilson type broken nose thing going on here. Wow.
But that mouth just kind of looks like a lizard's mouth. But that just might be me going crazy.
There may be something done to this photo, which it almost looks like this nose was highlighted. You know what I'm saying?
She's definitely wearing more makeup, and I do know when you
she's darker.
I know this. Well, yeah, it definitely looks like she got a spray tan, put on a darker shade of foundation, and did some contouring. And specifically, they tell you to highlight down the center of your nose and then do dark on the edges, so you make kind of like a U shape with the dark and then a lighter in the center, but that would leave the edges.
Britta, are you doing a demonstration of this right now?
No.
I just learned more about makeup than I ever thought I would.
All right.
So that would also explain why it looked like that.
Okay. So
because if there's contouring on the middle of the nose, but then not over here, it would make that look lighter and accentuate it.
I'm just saying it doesn't look like her.
It doesn't.
It doesn't. I'm agreeing with you. I don't think it does totally look like her, but I'm hesitant to be it's definitely an imposter. It's definitely it.
Oh, me too. Yeah, I just brought it up because it's a silly story.
The makeup thing gets me. I hate when there's so much makeup that you get almost like this granulated, pixelated effect. Maybe it's because I work in video. I know Jefferson works with photos.
People don't wear makeup to please you, Chris.
Wow. Wow. You're right. As much as, hey, shout out to TD Farrell in the chat, watching as well. No idea who that is. Just kidding, I do. Thank you very much. As we're back on, we just came back from Melania Trump possibly being an imposter. Real quick, so we're talking about David Icke. He published a book in 1999 called The Biggest Secret. That's when he totally brought it to public attention that the Annunaki, sort of the gods of Babylonian lore, are in fact a race of reptilian aliens who hail from the constellation Draco. Now, Heinrich von Däniken, who wrote Chariots of the Gods in 1968. By the way, I read the book. It's fucking insane. My grandfather gave it to me, and then I lost it. I feel really bad about that.
Very interesting.
Did you read it?
Yeah.
You read it?
Of course.
Oh, man. I didn't know that, Britta. Did you read it? No.
I have never heard of it.
It's just, I want to do a whole episode called Chariots of the Gods in honor of that book.
Well, then I'll have to read it.
Oh, I'm not going to tell you what it's about, but it's just about,
Yeah, we're going to tell you what it's about.
Don't tell me what it's about.
Like right now?
Well, yeah.
Okay.
Why not?
So Chariots of the Gods, real quick, what it was a book focusing around the fact that all these pyramid, I don't want to call them cave paintings, hieroglyphics, is that images? Anyway,
cave paintings.
Cave paintings, hieroglyphics, old time statues. I don't have any of these. I don't have any images to back up what I'm saying, so just believe me here. All this stuff, images of old gods, that have sort of this these halos, which look just like breathing apparatuses of normal space astronauts today. The chariots of fire could have been rocket ships, could have been the fire simply fuel.
Well, yeah, the idea...
It's insane.
The idea is that most of what the book is about is aliens that were actually in the Bible.
Okay, yeah, that's what he was saying. I was like, this sounds a lot like stuff from the Bible.
Yeah, so there's there's stories in, I think, Isaiah and I think Ezekiel, books of the Old Testament, where they talk about chariots of fire. Mm-hmm. And basically the point is, in their language, they didn't have spaceships, they had no idea.
They had no idea.
Right. So in their language, the words that they had were were very limited. So when they say chariots of fire, they could have been talking about a spaceship with, the propulsion of being the engine.
Oh, and there's images in the book that sort of reference to like different
there's cave drawings of UFOs,
They look just like spaceships. Mm-hmm. Oh my God, I could go on and on it, but let's not go on about it because I'm getting so riled up.
Well, the one other thing is you mentioned, they didn't have a word for space helmet. So what was their word? Halo. So, you can, it's a whole line of thinking of aliens as, foretold, angels and gods just being from another planet.
And that's what I personally believe. I personally believe that, let's listen, we're almost out of time, so let's not get into that.
It's very interesting.
We have so much more to get to. Jefferson.
I don't think we'll be able to get to it all, honestly.
We will not be able to get to it. That's why we're calling this 101, because 101, we were going to make room.
With 102.
102 and 103 and 104. But hey, let's go on to, I am not going to even get into the fact, the similarities between a reptile's brain and our brain, how our brain does have reptile sort of this genes in it. In fact, part of our brain in 1968 was actually called the reptilian brain there's a series called an object of thinking called the triune brain, which means that there are three parts to the development and evolution of our brain. One of them is straight up called the reptilian brain. So it's sort of the fact that the Annunaki may be sort of bred with humans, and that is how we have that in our brain. But I really want to get into something that I know Jefferson is super excited about, and I'm going to let him take the lead on this one right here.
Well, yeah, I guess the next thing we'll talk about is we're talking about beings and all different types of people that could be walking among us, maybe affecting our day-to-day lives.
So I think we're going to leave the alien sort of realm, and where are we going now?
Well, so this gets more into spirits, people that could be occupied by they look human or they look human-like, but they might actually be spirits. So the first one we can talk about is shadow people.
Shadow people.
If you want to scroll down a little bit farther.
I got it.
So a shadow person is basically, and this is just the tip of the iceberg. Again, this podcast is just kind of to present some of these theories and, the basics. And then if you find them interesting, go ahead and research yourself. But
definitely, let us know what you find.
A shadow person is the perception of a shadow as a living humanoid figure. And I can't, and this is a picture of it right now.
Yeah, sort of, we have like the shadow image right here, and I totally just...
So that's just an artist's rendering.
Yeah, that is not true. That is not, do not take that as...
So it's particularly, when people talk about shadow people, it's the presence of a spirit or other entity, like perhaps a demon. So when, in all of ancient civilization, all literature, from the Middle East, from Egypt, from Judaism, Christianity, they all mention the idea of spirits. Mm-hmm. So when people talk about seeing shadow people, they could, this is kind of basically what they're talking about. So, but the term shadow people didn't really get popular until an episode of Coast to Coast AM. So I don't know if you're familiar. Yeah, I don't know if you guys are familiar with the show, but if you're into any of the things we're talking talking about tonight, you would love Coast to Coast AM. Basically, it was a late night radio program created by Art Bell, who was the original host, and he was a great guy. It talks about all ghost stories, aliens, all types of conspiracies. And Art Bell was great because he would entertain every theory a caller would bring up. A caller could come on and say that he can talk to wolves, and Art would be like,
"What?
Yeah.
What?"
And Art's first response would
just
be,
hit me.
Yeah, and he would just say, "Oh my God, tell me more." So he would entertain every.
Is this show
theory.
still on?
Oh yeah.
It is.
Started in the 80s. It starts at like 1 a.m. Great for.
Oh my God! I'm gonna listen to this.
Oh yeah, it's great for long car rides at night. I'm sure truckers listen to it a lot. You can get it online. But
They have like a podcast.
Yeah, you can get all the episodes online. So
Holy shit! Coast to Coast AM.
I know what I'm doing tonight.
it's basically what this podcast is an extension of. So, these shadow people have been described by eyewitnesses as being dark silhouettes with human shapes and profiles that flicker in and out of your peripheral vision. So you can't really see them. You can't really see them if you're looking straight at them, but you see them out of the corners of your eyes as they come up and attack you. A lot of people have said that they've been strangled by them, that they've woken up with the shadow people jumping on their chest.
Jesus Christ.
So again, these can be spirits, demons, or what have you. So
now we have all had that experience. I mean, I know I have, where you just see something on the corner of your eye, and you're almost like afraid to look, but your first instinct is, "What the hell was that?" And it's gone. And you're like, "I swear, I just saw something there." We've all had that, and I have some. As Jefferson was describing that, I do have some pictures to sort of give us. Jefferson gave us the auditory sort of side of it. Let me give you a visual side of it. We have some pictures here. Two of them we showed you the drawing that maybe we'll go back to, but real quick, I just want to show us two pictures of the quote unquote shadow people and just sort of these figures right here. So let me see here. This one is called Shadow Grave. Let's go to Shadow Grave first. And my friends here haven't seen this picture yet. Okay, so something, we have the outline here of a human, and we can even see the shoulders and the neck right here, the shoulders and the neck. So these could in depth be those shadows people. Now this one is more obviously outright. It's not hiding from you. And then I want to bring up this one right here called Shadow Hill. This was taken in the most haunted road in the world, supposedly. It's called Zombie Road. It's a 2-mile stretch of land.
Wow, that just gave me chills looking at it.
Yeah, look.
I don't like this.
Welcome. We went down the rabbit hole, so you don't have to. Look at all of these right here, all these individuals. Now, at the time this was taken, there was no one else on this hill or around him. And even if there were, like, what are you going to stage 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, maybe 8, 9, maybe 10? What, 10 people? Are you going to Photoshop 10 different? All these images are different. It's not the same. It's not the same image. So even just Photoshopping that is a total pain in the ass. But yeah, apparently this hill is surrounded entirely by water, and this was from Zombie Road. I forget where Zombie Road is, but if you're interested in paranormal, Google Zombie Road, and it's been a hub of activity. But so this is. Sort of, those shadow people.
They've been described as having superhuman abilities, so they can run really fast, jump really high, things like that.
Yeah, they're not bound by the physical realm. They can walk through walls and stuff like that. They sort of stick to the wall and that shadow atmosphere.
They were really prevalent in a lot of Native American literature, a lot of Native American legends.
I mean, hey, with Native American peace pipe, everything is going to be prevalent.
Well, that's a good point to bring up too. A lot of accounts of shadow people have been from people who have been on crystal meth or sleep deprivation. But then So it kind of makes you think that perhaps that was the reason. But then other people would say, well, how come we're not, seeing shadow dogs or shadow birds? We're seeing these actual, human-like forms. So,
in the first episode of Pretty Sneaky Stuff, we talked about the CIA experimenting with LSD to sort of expand the mind. And I know there was tons of experiments into sleep deprivation as well. Some of them, and I know some people truly argue that mind-altering situations such as sleep deprivation, LSD, I don't know about crystal meth, but all those sort of hallucinogens and stuff like that.
I don't recommend using crystal meth.
No, we do. Hey, do not do crystal meth. But sort of these I don't want to say mind-expanding drugs, but sort of could open your consciousness or maybe allow your brain to become either in a heightened state or a weakened state and be able to perceive different things, such as different shades of light, of different spectrums of color.
Is there any linkage to people who have sleep deprivation of seeing shadow people and sleep paralysis?
Yeah.
Oh, sleep paralysis.
Because that's what sleep paralysis is a big thing where people see stuff that's not actually there, just really creepy things because your dreams start showing up in the real world.
Yeah, like that. Yeah, this is a perfect this is sleep paralysis. You're lying in bed, you see a figure, and oh my God, I am so grateful I do not have sleep paralysis.
Yeah, but that definitely came up in a lot of the stories I was reading.
Yeah. Oh my God, look at Jesus. Anyway, so guys, oh my God, we have hit the end of the road here. It is 8:57. We started the show at 8 o'clock. Again, we are live on twitch.tv/story. Also, soon to be on iTunes, SoundCloud, YouTube as well. Search us on YouTube. But no matter where we are, what we're doing, we are currently out of time. So let's go around and do some final thoughts. And I know that we really, really, really wanted to get to Jinn and demons and this word that I cannot pronounce.
Oh, Baphomet. Yeah,
Baphomet.
We were going to talk about different specific demons in in the Western religions, and it certainly is something that we can devote a whole podcast to.
Oh yeah, I definitely feel like we could devote a whole podcast to demons.
I mean, there's stuff that I skipped over that I really wanted to get into, and I know that we all did as well. So this was what did we call this? We called this Unknown Beings 101, and I believe our next episode is probably going to be Unknown Beings 102. Or Unknown Beings continued. But for right now, hey, let's go around in a little triangle formation. Let's do some final thoughts here.
Well, I just wanted to give a shout out to our listeners. Like I said earlier, if you have any ideas for a future podcast, please let us know.
Yeah. I would love to have, because, we have 2 viewers right now, and we absolutely love our viewers right now, one of them being a Kiwi. But please, if you want to criticize us, let's talk to us in the chat, send us an email.
But don't throw eggs at my house.
12 million Americans do not throw emails. Do not throw emails at Britta's house.
Do not throw emails either, but especially not eggs.
Do not email. You could email her 12 million eggs.
No, don't do that either.
But if you want to get in contact with us, you can talk to us on our account on Twitch, twit.tv/story, or send us a send us a message. Search for /story on YouTube and get us enough subscribers, and we can have a custom URL, and that'll be fun. I think you either need 25 or 100 or something like that. I don't know, but we do not have either of those.
We'll get there.
We will get there. Go on.
I was just going to say rock over London, rock on Chicago, Wheaties, breakfast of champions.
Okay. Britta, do you have any final thoughts before we take off here?
I just want to say thank you guys so much for having me on. It was really exciting, and I feel like I learned so much. I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah.
And also, I don't know if I'm going to sleep well tonight.
Well, hopefully, no shadow people get you in your sleep.
Hopefully not.
You can all say a prayer for yourselves to sort of ward off the evil demons. Watch out for the Greys. Watch out for the reptilians, and hey,
spread love.
Spread love. Spread love. But regardless of what you do, hey guys, watch out for that pretty sneaky stuff. Adios.